Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're taking a look at the NECA Godzilla 2014. Wait, what do you mean we already looked at this figure? Well, yeah, as it seems, we've already reviewed this, like, several times. Well, yes, and technically no. Here's what I'm talking about. This I bought from a lot featuring some monster arts and this, which I just could not pass up on, and thankfully I was able to snag it. And to be perfectly honest, I thought that I was merely just getting the same figure that I already had for the past like 7, 8 years. Actually, no, I think it's been 9. Wow. But in all actuality, no, because this is a reissue of said NECA Godzilla that I bought several years ago, which is this handsome boy. You've seen him on the Universe Godzilla show. You've seen him on the channel. You've seen him all the time. So basically what this video is going to be is essentially a review of the NECA Godzilla 2014 as it is here, as a reissue. And how I know this is a reissue is because there are several differences that make it different compared to the NECA 2014 that I currently own. And it's not just, oh, because they were made at the same time. No, no, no. There's several different things that are different about this guy compared to this guy that I've pretty much, well, there's no denying that they are entirely different figures released at different, well, they're not entirely different figures, but they're the same figure released at different times, point in time. I don't know when this was bought, I don't know when this was made, because the copyright info will always read 2014 regardless if it was one of the later reissues or if it was the first one. So just to put in perspective, I bought this guy around the winter of 2015, I do believe. The like one where it goes from was it? Yeah, the winter from. Okay, now yeah, I did buy this in the winter of 2015. I have like such bad memory right now. So that I think would have been either the first or second production run. This is what that figure is. But I think that perfectly segue. That's a perfect segue into the sculpt and paint. So let's get started. Starting off with the sculpt and paint on the head, you can absolutely see just how much paint and detail is compact into this tiny little thing. This head is about the width of my thumbnail. Like, that's how good it is. We have the signature eye, of course. It's not painted exactly like the movie, being a lot more simplified with the standard white dot in the middle and the yellow eye itself, which in the movie, I think it was a bit more detailed than that. But again, when it's like literally the size of like almost of a needle, it really does a lot good. The head is obviously, standard kind of black plastic and has a bit of the blue highlights that you find, especially on the neck, we'll get to it, but also has a lot of like the wash you find on the blue as well, and like little highlights on the bumps and skin, and even the teeth, which are absolutely, in my opinion, really well painted, and probably it's most likely because of how old my figure is and how much I've roughhoused with it over the years with all the like skits and me bringing it to like different events, like to camps, to the wilderness and all that sort of stuff. It's probably because of that, but my original, this one has much better painted teeth than that one ever that one did. It might, again, because they degraded over time, but whatever. I think what really steals the show is undoubtedly the mouth, because you can actually see where the hinge meets. It's like the thing that resembles the membrane. It's right at the tip of my finger, but that is a light purple compared to the darker purples you find within the mouth, and it just looks so good. Look at the way the tongue is painted, and look at like how the gums itself, and it looks so organic, and it looks so great. It almost looks like the 12-inch tall version, which honestly already had like such a stunning remark. And again, it just looks so good. Closing up that pie hole. Going down to the neck, we can see a bit more like the segmenting and like the dry brushing going on the back of the spines, and how it like transitions over to the neck ridges, and even like on the gills we have a bit more of a like light wash, and like it being a much more darker color. And again, it just looks so great. I honestly applaud NECA for what they did here because you can just see the blue wash. Like, again, it took me quite a long time before I bought, between me buying the original NECA Godzilla 2014 that I own and at a certain point where I found out just how blue it was. I think I found out how blue it was when I recorded that scrapped Godzilla versus Game Godzilla concept clip of him being under the water, and I used a cup for water filter and like having a phone with, you get it. But I think what is kind of a cool part of it, especially, is like just how detailed this thing remains even to this day, because you can see all the signature dry brushing and details and how compact it is all into this one little space, and it just looks so good. However, what I definitely think is a bit of a minor dud is going to the chest, which, let's actually pause that and just look at the shoulders and the chest. The shoulders look really well done, and I honestly, again, have to applaud them. The blue just looks so good. It honestly looks so shiny. Well, actually, not really shiny. It looks really matte in person, and even the nails, which are like very solid black, I really appreciate. And you also have like a bit more of the dry brushing coming down to the waist and down to the crotch area, which again just looks so beautiful. Which I think is going to be one of the other times that I'm going to say a crotch looks beautiful. Oh boy, that's going to look so bad out of context. But what's kind of a bit of a dud, as I was going to point out, is the seam line. There's a bit of a mold line that you can just kind of run your finger through and it'll stick out like a sore thumb. Again, for 20 bucks, this was not like the worst thing in the world, but come on. The first production run I had didn't even well, it had a mold line. Did it? It kind of does, but like it's so minute compared to this. I feel like they could have done like a bit of a better job on that. So, in my opinion, the seam line is a bit of a dud, but hey, it is what it is. Moving on down to the legs, we have a bit more like the kind of detail you find on the stomach region, and you have all like these areas going down into the pretty much the outskirt or the inskirts of the legs, and it again just looks really good. And even like outwards, where you have like the opposite effect going on, where you have more of that dry brushing that's carried throughout the rest of the thigh. It doesn't have much on the leg, but does have a bit of that blue wash. And then the feet are definitely, a lot glossed up as far as the nails are concerned, but does have a bit of color variety. It's hard to see, but there is some color variety in the leg there, or in the foot. Next, let's talk about the spines, which I feel like sculpt and paint wise is probably the weakest part of the figure, and that goes for both versions that I own, because you can see that how soft the detail is in comparison to the body. I feel like they could have like spruced it up a little bit, maybe. I know this is again like an older figure, but I feel like they could have like maybe updated it, like they updated the 84 spines, 85 spines, whatever, on the reissue. But again, it still looks good, still sharp, still jagged. Well, actually, and it's still pointy. These ones are a bit more bendy and soft than my older ones are. They are soft, but like these ones feel pointier than these ones do. And I'm not saying like they're more blunt. They could just be made of a different rubber. And they do not feature much color, although they do feature like that kind of blue wash that you find in the rest of the body. Ending it all off here, we have the tail, which again features the same sort of sculpted and painted details you find all the way through the figure. That same blue wash that's just carried out so excellently. And my only real gripe with it is that the brown that's like really appraised by me just kind of stops at a certain point, and then they don't really carry that through the rest of the tail. It's just kind of like the blue wash instead of like a fusion between the two, which would look cool as shown here. That's like really my only big issue, but like that could be just a minor nitpick given the fact that you're not going to be really seeing this guy from this high, from like underneath, unless you're putting him in like a glass display or putting him in a very inappropriate position. So as far as sculpt and paint goes, it's pretty good. I would honestly say it's an upgrade as far as like the sculpt and paint itself goes, compared to my original, which it's probably crushing my inner childhood to say that, But again, just looking at like the teeth, because like if you compare the teeth paint, mine's a lot more muted. Like you can definitely see like right there, and probably again over the years they were just like scuffed off maybe. But like it's just looks so much more refined, and I just like it a lot more. But I definitely don't think that. I think like the brown, especially on the shoulders, doesn't really transition well, which is something the Haya Godzilla Atomic Blast doesn't do well as either. And the tail paint underneath doesn't really do much justice. But again, for what this is, I think that this is absolutely incredible. Articulation time now. It's pretty much the same song and dance. Nothing's changed really, but we do have one fun thing to note. We have a hinge at the jaw, close up, open. I think my original could actually shut its mouth a little bit more. Yeah, if mine's like this is as yeah, that's as far as it'll go. Yeah, there you go. The head. This is what I mean when it's interesting. You notice how it's missing a back spike up here? Bringing in my original. There was like a bit of a back spike to the head that's missing on this one. That's, I think, probably the original owner of this actually cut open a little bit of a slit at the back of the neck, got rid of that spine, so he's able to look up. So he can slide it and slide the spine in between the little groove that they made. And so you can actually look Godzilla's head up versus the original. Well, mine can do that. I think it's just over the years I've kind of like stressed out the plastic a little bit and like kind of because like I did no modifications to this thing. Nothing. Over the years, I've not cut anything. It's still a static figure, and I'm guessing like this was their answer to doing it, or maybe it was NECA who cut that sleeve there. Again, I do not know because I never owned the reissues of any of the Godzillas until today. So going on back here to the head, at the neck, we actually have pretty nice ball joint and kind of go side to side, forward and back, rotate all that good stuff. A lot more better than the 2019 figures, including Burn Godzilla. I feel like this is probably like the best range because it's not as big of a fin in a mold. Going to the arms here, we can go up and down, side to side, all that good stuff. Although it does break a bit of like the darker color on the this arm because I don't think. Well, I mean it is here. It's just not as noticeable, but you can get some nice poses. Kind of go in and out, forward and back, and all that good stuff. Elbows, swivel hinge, so you can kind of straighten up about that far, then in about that far, and can rotate in and out. And ball joints here at the wrists. Ball joint here at the ab crunch, although there's not much movement. It's more like a rotation with a bit of side-to-side, little tilt. Nothing too crazy. The legs, you can kind of cut in, like in and out of the socket, forward and back, all that good stuff. And because it's on a barbell joint, you can actually kind of get it working a bit in your favor. Because when you go to rotate it, you'll see that there's like a gap that's created. Say if you want the leg kicking up, you can actually get it to like readjust. It's like a disc. And you can actually get it to where it looks seamless. Even though there's an obvious seam, but like there's no gap anymore. So at first glance, sure, it might look pretty awkward how it's just flying all over in the socket, but it's for the point of you being able to rearrange it. So if you want to kick forward, you want to kick backward, just readjust. If you want it like coming back to normal, which is what we want right now, again, it's all up to you. You can spread it out to the side, do anything you want. Knees, we're going to go with this one. Not as movable, sadly, but you can get some nice kind of like straighten out, clip in, and can rotate. And there's a ball joint here at the foot. Nice, decent pivot. Up and down is pretty mild, but it's all right. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joints here, 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 and here. And from roughly here to about here is a bendy wire, and then from the rest on is just pure rubber. So, of course, as far as articulation goes, being the first NECA Godzilla mold to be released, because fundamentally it's not the first release of the first Godzilla figure that they made, but it is the first Godzilla figure they've made. You get what I'm talking about. But for the articulation, even all these years later, 10 years later, it's still really rock solid, and I gotta give him applause for that. So for some size comparisons, here he is next to some general 6-inch scale Godzilla figures from the 2010s, which, because, 2010s, we're looking, even though I think you might be a tad bit older, maybe, with the Bandai creation, Bandai America Godzilla 1954, the first Godzilla, branded as the first Godzilla, even though this is a complete resculpt and a new figure compared to what came before it, which was a much more skinnier, more movie accurate Godzilla. The SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2001, the original version, not that crummy heat ray repaint, and the MMS Shin Godzilla, which I got before they started bootlegging the crud out of them, and I just so happened to own a bootleg of him. So, as you can see, he's definitely about the same scale. Maybe not as far as movie accuracy goes, because he's kind of movie accurate with him because Shin is supposed to be taller than 2014, and then 2019 onward is supposed to be taller than Shin by 1 meter. GMK in 54 are supposed to be half his height, and I believe GMK is 60 meters tall. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I watched the film, but as you can see, these four go great together. And here he is with some more modern Godzilla figures featuring the 2014 Playmates with the tank, the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2021, the Heat Ray version, which as you can see, he's definitely in scale with, because again, 108 meters, 119, we're just going to estimate 120 meters, because I hate how they're being so specific with them now, as if they have to. Come on, just make him 120 meters. 3 movies have passed since KOTM, please. And the Playmates Final Wars Godzilla, which just to also talk about what I was mentioning, comparing it with the Playmates, it's definitely got more of that blue wash that you find on the Playmates as well. But I think it's as sheer quality goes, there's no beating what came before. And for the last comparison, here he is with the original NECA 2014 that I bought all those years ago. And as you can see, they are pretty much indistinguishable from each other, aside from that one spike that's missing on his head versus his head. And I gotta say, segueing into the the end of the video, do I recommend this? Yes, I do. If you can find it for a good price, do not buy a bootleg from AliExpress or eBay. I would say go to the website's name. I'm gonna butcher the crud out of it because I've never bought them from them before. But Mercari, Mercari. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, but go to that website and you'll find tons of NECA Godzillas for resale. It all depends on where you live, but also I just want to point this one last thing out now that I'm realizing it. The necks, you see how they carved it so it kind of goes rounded, goes inward and then out again, versus on the original where it's all rounded up. That's definitely not from the same batch of NECA Godzillas, because no other figure does that. But yeah, if you can find it for a good price. And speaking of resale, I might actually sell this guy. The reissue. Because I don't want 2 of these things running around, and I'm a crummy custom painter. I've only custom painted 2 figures in my entire life, and I don't want to think about trying to do a 6-inch discontinued figure. The reason why I want to resell this one is because, I want to kind of give people who hadn't had a chance to get a NECA Godzilla to get a NECA Godzilla, and what better way to do it than the first one? And also, again, I don't need 2 of them. I don't have 2 of some figures, but I plan on reselling some of them. So maybe somewhere down the pipeline, but we're going to make a few more videos with this one. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the channel. Believe in Jesus, accept him as the Lord, Savior, with the gospel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, everyone. God bless.